Hi, I'm Chef Shane from Pentola, and I stay in this beautiful place called Hermanus. Welcome to my home. What you're going to need to make my magical Aztek mushrooms is about 80 grams of farm fresh butter, 10 ml of olive oil, nice big cinnamon bark, about 6 or 7 cloves for extra flavor, some fresh red chili, about 7 ml, about 1 ml of coarsely ground black peppercorns, 250 grams of portobello mushrooms. You can use white button mushrooms, but for me, portobello have the most beautiful texture. 45 ml of tequila, 30 grams of good quality dark chocolate, I'd say about 80 or 90%, 400 ml of fresh cream, and salt for flavor. And then to make the pastry, we'll need phyllo pastry. We're going to need a nice, beautiful organic honey, which is non-irradiated, farm fresh eggs, preferably organic, and some sesame seeds. So to make the phyllo pastry discs for the Aztek mushrooms, what we're going to do is we're going to take our sheet of phyllo pastry and we're going to open it up nice and evenly. Okay. The trick with the phyllo pastry is we're going to brush this with the olive oil. You could also use melted butter. I prefer the olive oil. It just makes it a little bit crisper and doesn't interfere with any of the other flavors. So generously brush the olive oil. This is what's going to create the separation in between the pastry layers once you bake them. Such a beautiful pastry. Phyllo pastry gets its name from the word phyllo, meaning leaf in Greek. So it's fine like a leaf. There we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to drizzle this with honey. Drizzle the honey generously onto the phyllo pastry. Honey's got such a beautiful natural flavor. I mean, what would we do without bees? I can't imagine a world without bees. So there we go. Don't be shy with the honey. And then we fold the pastry over. There we are. And then we're going to brush with a bit more olive oil. Another nice generous lashing of honey. Here we go. Fold the last piece over. Obviously, the more people you're making the Aztek mushrooms for, the more pastry discs you'd make. So you could obviously use the whole open sheet and then put another sheet on top and another sheet on top. Here we go. Now I'm going to brush this with egg yolk. Beautiful free-range organic egg yolk. This is going to give it a beautiful crisp golden brown texture. There we are. Now we're going to sprinkle generously with sesame seeds. Now we're going to cut these into little circles. Little discs, just with a knife, old-fashioned way, no fancy cookie cutters. If you had a cookie cutter, I suppose you could use it, and you could do all sorts of odd shapes, maybe Valentine's Day, little heart-shaped pastries. Here we go, just like so. Be gentle. As you can see, the phyllo is quite sensitive. Yeah, I've managed to get 4 out of this. So a full sheet should give you about 12 pastry discs if it's laid flat down. There we go. Gently transfer the pastry discs onto a nice non-stick oven tray. Prepare for baking. Set the oven 180, 200 degrees. You know your oven, but definitely not under a hot grill. We don't want these to burn to cinders. There we go. Something I always do, because I'm working in a kitchen and I'm a chef and I never want food to go to waste, when I make these little pastry discs, what I do is the little off-cut pieces, I bake them as well. And then you put them in a little Tupperware dish, and they're fantastic. If you want a little salad, or one of your kids wants a little snack, great with a dip, something like hummus, anything like that, fantastic. So just cut them up and put them on, and we bake them as well. You can make some fun shapes out of them. They're kind of addictive. I'm going to pop these in the oven. Right, now time to make the magical Aztek mushrooms. This is one of my favorite recipes of all time. This is the classic combination of what I call fusion. Subtle combinations of very powerful flavors which creates an overall new taste sensation on your palate. So this is how we do it. First I'm going to add my butter. Nice hot pan. I don't like standing around and waiting for things to cook. Very important, add your olive oil. I like to mix a bit of olive oil with my butter. The reason for that is to prevent the butter from burning. As soon as the butter starts to foam, we're going to add our cinnamon. We're going to add our cloves. Add our black pepper. Be generous with the pepper. I also like to use mixed peppercorns. Just gives that extra little depth of flavor. It's all about layering of the flavors. Very, very important. Here I've put in a whole chili. You could chop up your chili, but sometimes people want to have it removed. They don't like too much heat. There we go. Now I'm going to add my mushrooms. The beautiful thing about the portobello mushrooms is that they absorb all those subtle flavors. The pepper, the cinnamon, the cloves, that little bit of chili, even your butter and your olive oil is essential to flavoring. There's nothing worse than you get a new butter that you've never tried before, and it has a sort of like a cheesy or slightly off flavor. It can ruin the most perfect dish. So it's always so important to taste your ingredients. This is looking great. All those flavors fusing together in the pan. So now it's time to add the tequila. Wow, these mushrooms are thirsty, man. Oh, absolutely delicious. Tequila is one of those things that, if used in the correct way, adds the most beautiful extra dimension to any sauce. What I love about these Aztek mushrooms is you can also, once you start experimenting with the sauce and you enjoy the flavors, the combinations, what I recommend you do is you could easily serve this as a beautiful sauce over a steak. You could do this with chicken. You could even replace the mushrooms with chicken, and then you'd have like a moulet style dish. Time to add the dark chocolate. And fresh cream. Look at that. You don't know whether it's a chocolate milkshake, could be a chocolate mousse, but there's mushrooms in it. Crazy! Get my plate ready to dish this up. So how we do this, a little bit of mushrooms in the center of the plate. This one's kind of sexy. I'm going to push it towards the front. This is why we slice the mushrooms, so we can make a beautiful little tower with the mushrooms. There we go. Next one. There we are. I'll never forget the first time I tasted Aztek mushrooms. The combination of the chocolate, the flavors of the pastry, the honey, the sesame seed, it just completely blew my mind. Voila, Aztek mushrooms. Now for the perfect wine to pair with this. Cheers. It's been a pleasure cooking with you.